Welcome to Let's Talk Games. My name is Daniel. Next to me is Chunt,
Hey.
and on the far side of me is Jamie. Good morning, Jamie, or after or evening.
Evening, night. It's exactly midnight.
It's morning and evening somewhere in the world. It's all right.
Well, if you've clicked onto this podcast, there's one reason why you're wanting to click onto this podcast, but we're going to save that till last. We have some other things to get in touch with, which is our genitals, as well as what we've been playing. I'll start this one off. I've won a few NBA 2K championships this week on my own. I've been dominating that league for a while now. But I also jumped into the Dreams demo, which appeared on the PlayStation Store this past week, and played a little bit of Dreams.
Oh, yeah.
Specifically, Kubrick. Man, there's a lot of creative stuff in that game. What people are making. Has it sold me on Dreams? Not right now. I think it's a game that if it was like PlayStation Plus and it was down to $20-$30, I'd give it a go. Or if it was a PlayStation Plus free game in the future, I'll definitely give it a go. But the problem is that there's the create section in that game where once I went in to have a look, it gives you all the tutorials about how you make stuff in Dreams, which all looks great, but you can't actually create a single thing on the demo part of it, so you don't even get to have a go at it. And I was like, well,
makes sense.
Like, you need to give me a little taste, like just give me like the basic tutorial in terms of to make a basic level or something, which would sell me more on I want to create more stuff, like give me more things to use and etc.
Yeah, fair cool.
Yeah, but that's it for me this week, boys. I didn't get to play anything new. I'm struggling to get in the mood to try a new game, especially because all the games I want to play are all long games, and I'm trying to build myself up for it.
Yeah, right. Far out. I've been keeping myself busy. I'm the opposite. Like I used to be like that. I've just been trying to smash through Spider-Man at the moment. Finally playing it. It's really good. I think I don't know how far I am through the story now, but I just spend most of my time just swinging around between missions and doing all the little side stuff and the collectibles and the. I'm up to the research stuff. Like you can go around on the map doing your research puzzles and shit, and trying to knock off a whole bunch in autos, science lab and stuff. So I was already enjoying the game, but as soon as I got that Scarlet Spider suit, I'm like, yeah, I'm in. Like it looks stunning, and the modernized version of that suit in this game. Oh, it's just like nostalgia for me. Like I love that suit and I love that character. Like Peter Parker, fine, but I like the Ben Reilly side of it, and I'm just kind of enjoying it through that aspect. But otherwise, yeah, I think that's taken up most of my time. Besides Animal Crossing, I finally got my 5-star island, as I mentioned to you guys earlier. So that's an achievement for me because I was gunning for that. Like, so I can't wait to get past this and get it done. But so yeah, now I'm just casually playing and getting my final stores on the island, and now I can invite people in, and they can take advantage of my island. But yeah, that's me. I'm done. How about you, Jamie?
I finished Spider-Man earlier in the week. I finished all of the DLC. I finished that today.
Oh wow! Holy shit!
Thumbs up.
I think I said this to you earlier in the week, Dan. The DLC story is better than the main campaign, in my opinion. I think it's more.
Wow.
It's more comic booky. It's much darker.
Sweet.
It feels like a comic book series. You can imagine, if you were watching, say, like a Saturday morning cartoon. Feels very like that, but with a bit more adult themes. Black Cat is the best character in the whole game, and she's not in it nearly enough. Definitely fallen a bit in love with her.
Nice.
Yeah, pretty much just Spider-Man. I had all intention to start in God of War this week, but Yeah, I decided to do the Spider-Man DLC instead, and now I think I'm 6 trophies away from the platinum, and it's making me itch.
See what I mean? Oh, so that's the other thing I didn't mention before. So I went and I platinum Spider-Man because you kept talking about it. I'm like, I want to play Spider-Man. So I installed Spider-Man because the trophies that I had left to get was this. I had to ride the train 5 times. I ended up having to ride it 4 times to get the trophy. So that showed you I only did it once during the whole game.
Nice.
I had to go visit Uncle Ben's gravesite.
Yep.
I had to get all the suits, which I was confused by because they were all there, but I never actually purchased them all through the game because when I was playing it, I just found the stuff that I wanted to use and then just purchased those suits, and that was it.
Yeah.
So I purchased all the suits. That took nothing, and then I think there was one more trophy, and then I got a platinum. So like that's how close I was. So Jamie, I know that feeling where you're like, oh shit.
The thing is though, I've still got the clearing off the districts. So like I've done like the camps and all of the collectible stuff. It's just the like the patrols. And by the end of the game, you've got 5 different patrol beacons, and you have to do 5 of each. So now I'm just kind of clearing them out. I'm tempted to also do the DLC ones because I find the events better. The screwball challenges and things like that are fun. Oh, yeah. They're a riff on obviously Taskmaster, but yeah, I've got a few more Taskmaster ones to do, and I know there's a few trophies associated with that as well. And then down the 3 that you mentioned, because you get a lot of those when you unlock every suit. You've cleared all of the neighborhoods and everything like that. It's kind of very end game ones. So yeah, watch his space. Maybe I'll carry on with it, or maybe I will just put it down for now and go in a God of War like I intended. The only other thing I've ended up in this week was a couple of hours in Monster Hunter. I'm gradually playing back through that. It's scratching the Destiny itch. And we had all intentions of playing some Destiny together, maybe like when we'd recorded this podcast, but given the time, likely not happening.
We'll find out.
But yeah, that's me. That's what I've played.
Yeah. Well, we'll move along because Australia did something right this week. It managed to rate Cyberpunk 2077 as an R18 plus game, which I think was some concern about what CD Projekt Red would do with the game, knowing how graphic this game was going to be, if they were going to have to downplay it for Australia, because we tend to ban games a lot.
Yeah.
So that was a good thing, but out of that, the ESRB also rated it an M, and in the little description of that, it came out saying that players can select a gender and customize their character. Customize can include depictions of breasts, buttocks, and genitalia, as well as various sizes and combination of genitals. And for some reason, this was a news story on freaking IGN everywhere, and some people got upset about it, which I don't understand either.
Oh my god! Of course,
but I think it's just I don't know about you guys, but I think all this is kind of pointing to is just CD Projekt Red are just trying to make this game so immersive in terms of they just want you to create the character you want to make and put you straight into that world and basically never want you to leave.
Yeah. So this Cyberpunk game is a riff on the tabletop like RPG book kind of a roll of dice, make a character, all that kind of stuff. So if you think D&D where you can make your own character, like you write down your dude, your characteristics, your physical traits and that kind of stuff, like it's like that. It's really in depth, like an actual legit RPG, old school. So this only just basically solidifies the fact that that's what they're trying to do, is make this game so like a interactive experience based on the actual book game, and it just makes sense that why wouldn't you in this world be able to modify every little inch of you, because every inch counts, and you can
Every inch counts.
So you can assume that there's going to be, like, I don't know how the options are. I don't know if they've revealed at what extent you can adjust and how far you can go with it. But I mean,
apparently you can be a
imagine...
hermaphrodite if you want to be one.
Yeah, right. Well, there you go. So there's that. Maybe you can be one of the massive monster cock as well. So I think it's cool. I mean, CD Projekt Red, I think I always had the feeling with this game that they wanted to push the envelope, like, just as far as they could get. Like the whole body modification thing, take it or leave it. It just, it's a future that's worth realizing, because I think, we're probably going to head there eventually. I don't know if it's going to look like this, but you've already got Elon Musk talking about his Neuralink project that he's doing, and it's on the cards. So I think this will be a good realization of possibilities that we might be able to do. I'm just interested to see how fast they'll go with the game, like just gameplay stuff, aside from all that monster cocks and stuff and fulfilling a need that you might want to apply. I'm just really excited for the game overall. I'm glad that Australia is not playing prude on this one, and we'll get the actual full game.
I'd also like to point out that Brazil's official ratings agency put out, on which they've now taken down, but to put in what the game has included in it, is cruelty, suicide, nudity, prostitution, consumption of illicit drugs, sexual pleasurement, foul language, blood, sexual language, sexual exploitation, intentional death, mutilation, intense sexual relations, description of drug consumption and trafficking, exposure to corpses, and the usual violence.
The usual violence. That's a broad stroke, that one. Yeah.
Are you both intended on playing through Cyberpunk as a male character? Out of interest.
Yes.
Yep. Well, sorry, did you say what character we were intending to play as?
Yeah.
I'm probably going to play as a female. I've started to do that a lot more with games that you can select your gender. So Assassin's Creed Odyssey, I played as Cassandra. When Mass Effect Andromeda came out, I played as female. I've just started doing that just to get something different out of a game, I guess.
Fair enough.
Yeah, I started that a couple of years ago, but there hasn't been that many recently that you really get that option. All right, any thoughts? More thoughts, Jamie?
No, I'm on the fence with it. I don't know. I'm not sure yet.
I always pick a dude because I like to put myself.
I just thought I'd ask because the genital question came up.
Yeah. No, I like to just pick a dude because I like to put myself in it. Like, if I have the option to put myself in a world, or create a character that, whatever reason, like, I just want to immerse myself in it, rather than pretend to be another character or whatever. Like, every other game, you have to play as a character that's already predetermined and everything for you. So whenever I get the option to make one,
I think it depends on the choice that you that it gives me. If they're giving me choices that are ones that I wouldn't really want to do in real life, then I start to just create a character that I want to see. Whereas if they're choices I'm like, oh, that's what I would actually do, then I start playing as myself.
Yeah, fair. So yeah, I'm going to give myself a massive monster cock. Yeah.
What if it slows you down?
I think it's a worthy trade-off, man. I'll have 3 legs at that point, won't I? I'll run faster.
All right, let's move on to the main topic of the week. Inside Xbox had their reveal of some games with their third-party partners, and there was a mixed response coming out of it. But let's talk about our responses. Rather than do what everyone else does and just go through game by game or anything like that, I'm going to ask you guys a series of questions, and then you can expand on based on the questions that I ask. All right,
bring it on.
And I've got all the games here listed if you need to know what one of them are. But let's start with just the games first, and then we'll move on to the actual, presentation itself.
Mm-hmm.
So, starting positive, what would your favorite or at least most interesting game out of the 13 that they showed?
Well, I'll go first. I'll just jump in. So I was quite taken with Scorn. I'm very interested in that. I'm not usually one for horror games, but I think the art style and direction of this one looks fascinating. Just real Geiger-esque. Like, it's definitely taken off, H.R. Geiger. It's just, you can't deny that. So that world just looks amazing.
They admitted it, didn't they?
And
they openly said that it's like inspired by it.
But yeah, I don't think they mentioned it on the stream though. But I've read the press outlet for the actual game and stuff, and they throw it out there. So yeah, I'm down for that. Disturb me all the way. But besides that one, obviously Assassin's Creed, and I think one I really want to shine a light on is Bright Memory Infinite, made by one dude.
Well, that was going to be mine, so maybe we'll wait until. Well, I'll just talk about it now. So, kicking it off with that game, it basically gives you everything video games tend to give you. It's like, we're going to give you a sword and magic and exoskeletons and wall running and zip lines. It's like this is the video game of the game, and it does look cool. I kind of want to see it in action, like someone actually playing the game. It'd be really good to see that. But
you mean like a gameplay reveal?
Yeah, well, we'll get into that a little bit later. But apparently it's on PC, so there is a way to play at least the first one. That it's not clear whether this is just an upgrade or a sequel or anything. But it's probably the one to me that stood out the most. What about you, Jamie?
I was waiting to see what we got out of Assassin's Creed, but as the internet has kind of told everybody, that was horse shit. It definitely wasn't a gameplay reveal. It was some in-engine stuff. Scarlet Nexus is the only one that I've really taken away with me and gone, I'd quite like to play that. As Chunt said, Scorn did look interesting. Horror stuff's really got to be aesthetically on my vibe for me to want to play it, and that does look a bit weird. I messaged Chunt at the time we were talking through it, but before we jumped on a call, they'd shown Scorn, and I was like, I'm pretty sure a machine just grew a penis and took a piss. It was odd.
I don't think that was a piss. I think that was something else.
But either way, it was disturbing. So yeah, it kind of caught my eye. But yeah, Scarlet Nexus, very much my kind of bag. Japanese anime style. Looks to have RPG, arcadey mechanics. Being made by Bandai Namco, right up my street. So yeah, other than
did anybody think that the Scorn trailer started off and it was going to be like a Prometheus or Aliens game?
Yeah, I did actually. But everybody knows that the aesthetics of all that stuff is directly inspired by Geiger as well. I think it's just amazing. Like, it's just stunning and surreal, and it's just something I haven't seen before. Like horror games, dime a dozen, whatever. And there's disturbing visuals in some horror games, but it's all like gore or dark and real human-esque type stuff. But this one is just on another level, and it's something that I'd probably give a go because it's so different.
All right. So next question: what game you thought looked good but isn't for you?
Oh,
so for me, Scarlet Nexus is probably that, where I look at that game and I'm like that looks competent. Like that looks like people are going to get a lot of enjoyment out of that. But it's just not my type of game.
Reminded me of Astral Chain.
Very much.
Yeah.
I'd probably have to say I feel bad about it because I don't want to close myself off, but The Ascent, I was like, wow, this looks sick. Like the whole mega corporation stuff, like it looks like Judge Dredd crossed with Cyberpunk and all that kind of stuff. Like, yeah, this looks sick. What is it? And it was like a Diablo looking view type game, and I'm like, or like a twin stick maybe controls by the looks. I don't know.
Mm.
And that kind of made me go, all right. Which it's just not something I'd normally play, but I'm interested enough to maybe just give it a go. But that was my first reaction, so I can't deny that. But yeah, probably like I'm not a massive anime fan myself, so probably Scarlet Nexus is something I wouldn't play, but it does look fun. Like I'll give it that. It looks pretty.
Jamie?
Do you know what? All of it. And I know that sounds really pessimistic, but I said to you at the end, I was like, well, underwhelmed. And I think everything really. There's nothing that I saw that I was like, this is next gen. This is a big leap forward. And secondly, I don't think we saw anything that isn't coming to current gen systems. So, you know, realistically, the stuff that I want to play that was going to be there be an Assassin's Creed, and as I said, Scarlet Nexus, quite like the look of that. But yeah, everything else looks like it looks pretty, but it's not really my cup of tea. There wasn't really anything there that's a game that I've gone, oh my god, I can't wait to play that. Not one.
Yeah.
Assassin's Creed, yes, but again, I think we got duped with that, and I think they've openly admitted that, you know, they maybe shouldn't have sold that as they did. But yeah, to answer your question, Dan, practically everything.
Yeah, well, I can say the only games that have really taken any kind of like optimization for Series X would be Chorus, Bright Memory. I think that's about it. Like I know those ones they mentioned that they're actually doing DirectX ray tracing, like on console as well. So I mean that'll be something that will be Series X-ish.
That game Chorus looks like No Man's Sky had a baby with Lilac Wars, Star Fox.
Yes, very much.
Yeah, well, that would probably be my next favorite one. One that I would
same. Like
play.
the one that looked kind of intriguing, but it didn't really sell me enough on the premise. It's like, all right, so I can fly around in space. I can do that in No Man's Sky and all of these other games. Like, what's the differentiator? Like, all right, your chick looks like she's walked straight out of like a horror movie combined with Control. You could tell that was ray tracing. That I've played Control with ray tracing, and you can tell that was running that type of tech, like the shadows and the detail on the ship and the reflections. So that was quite cool, but yeah, they didn't do enough to sell me and make me go, I want to play this game. Like, it was interesting, but yeah, up there.
So next question. So now we'll talk about probably the presentation itself. Do you think Xbox has taken a hit, stayed where they are, or gained ground?
I've got thoughts, but I could go for a bit. Jamie, do you want to mention something before I just go?
I think they've stayed where they are. I think you know, they've come out and they've apologized and they've said, look, yeah, we maybe shouldn't have billed this as gameplay reveal for Assassin's Creed. If we'd have just done, look, expect to see some next gen stuff. Here's this month's inside Xbox. It probably would have landed a bit smoother. I don't think they've lost any ground because they've done the right thing. Come out and said, yeah, hey, bad messaging. Sorry, guys. And they've got enough goodwill with what they've been doing and what they've been saying so far anyway. The only people that are butthurt are the people who are like championing that Sony is still in front somehow, even though they've not done any marketing. So yeah, I think they're in the same place.
Yeah, I think they're in the same place. I think in the end, 3 months down the line, or when people are purchasing their consoles, they're not really going to think of this conference. They're going to think of the first party thing in July. They're going to think of a whole bunch of other stuff that's going to happen between now and then. So I don't think it's really taking.
Which will probably run far longer. It will probably run far longer and be actual gameplay from their developers. So I think that's probably going to be, and if it wasn't going to be that, it will be that now.
I think there'll be about the same amount of games, if not a couple more maybe, but some will be able, like Halo, they will be able to show off the game, whereas there might be other games that are earlier in development, which they'll just kind of show like a teaser for.
Like some will be way out.
Yeah. Chant, go ahead.
Right. So people need to just take a step back. I understand we're all passionate. I wave the Xbox flag. I'll admit this was not their best showing. Inside Xbox format was probably not the right way to go about it. There was no Major Nelson, so whatever. It wasn't really a Inside Xbox episode. I just need to look at it a bit more openly in a real world aspect of, like, I mentioned on Twitter earlier that, you know, the world has changed a little bit, and all laid out plans are forfeit, basically. Like, all this E3 planning and that whole, you know, press circuit and stuff like that's all gone. All that stuff would have been locked in months ago, and as soon as they had the official word of, like, yeah, E3 is not happening, it's like, all right, shit, you know, we need to figure something else out. And you got all these developers and stuff working from home, and you could probably anticipate a lot of these companies might not have any, you know, plans laid out as to emergency stuff of, like, well, how do we get our entire staff working from home to develop anything? So I just think all this kind of stuff, you need to think about it of, like, well, when they're trying to regain some promotional material and get something ready, it doesn't happen just magically. Like, people have to make it, people have to approve it, people have to submit it, you know, all this kind of stuff, and it takes a lot of time. So to even get something to show us in a relatively short amount of time, you can only imagine the amount of legwork that had to happen behind the scenes just to get something together. And these things that we saw, I've never heard of any of them, never heard of any of the games, so I was surprised one way or another. But I think the expectation that they might have set using the wrong messaging of, like, you know, actual gameplay, it gave us the impression of, like, it'd be lengthy demos of games. I get that, I understand disappointment in that, but you have to consider this wasn't a direct Xbox Game Studios presentation. This was like, Inside Xbox has never revealed anything massive in the history of the show. It's always been like small stuff or unknown stuff, and the bigger stuff is always left for the major events. So I think the expectations were just out of whack completely for this thing. And then they mentioned several times July is going to be the Xbox Game Studios event, and there's stuff in between that. And they talked about their 2020 initiative, where every month they're going to be talking about something. So instead of having one big E3 day or two, like, it'll be spread over months, which, you know, it's another take, but it also gives them time to get things, you know, happening, submitted, and all that kind of stuff. Like, that's just, you know, no one is meant to think about that kind of shit, but this is the shit that I think about. You know, when something is like, all right, didn't really land, but why? And you start thinking about how we are at the moment, and how business works, and how everything has to happen and come together. And if you know how these productions, or have any kind of insight in how these productions are made, it's months worth of approvals and planning and stuff. And to have it all thrown out the gate, and you go, all right, let's start again within a couple of months. I think people just need to kind of just monitor their expectations. Like, all of us, all the three of us, we're consumers. It's not our problem. It's not our fault. We shouldn't have to consider about any of that kind of stuff. I get it, but because, you know, I'm passionate about the platform. I've been with it since like 2001 or two. You know, it's my thing. You know, I try to be a bit more open about it. So that's just how I'm thinking about it at the moment. And they've come out, like Jamie said, Aaron Greenberg, and the other bloke, can't remember his name right now, from Assassin's Creed Valhalla, the creative director dude. They've come out afterwards saying, yeah, our bad. Probably should have been a bit more clear about what we were doing.
Yeah, so I got the quote here from Aaron Greenberg where he said, had we not said anything and just shown May Inside Xbox show like we did last month, I suspect reactions might have been different. Clearly, we set some wrong expectation, and that's on us. We appreciate all the feedback and can assure you we will take it all in and learn as a team.
Yeah. Yeah. So you can just definitely expect, like Jamie said, that the next ones will be different. Like, I don't think they'll be doing this again.
But I think it also means that people have tempered their expectations now. And I said this to you guys earlier. There's the scenario that we're in, and yes, E3 is supposed to be this big extravaganza where we get so much information in 1 week that we spend the next 2 months digesting it. Whereas now the plan's changed, and over the next 3 months, everything that we would have seen in that 1 week is going to be dispersed in shorter and smaller amounts. So by doing that, we need to go into these events and go, this isn't going to be all singing, all dancing. We're probably not going to see very much because they're still saving stuff for the next month's thing. Like, I think I think we can expect a lot of this, a lot of 30-40 minutes, little sizzle reels, maybe a little bit of developer commentary. I think Sony will take the same approach. I don't think they're going to come out guns blazing and go, here's our box and here's 3 exclusives that are coming at launch and they can only be played on PlayStation 5, and here's an interview with all 3 developers and here's 10 minutes of gameplay. It's just not going to be the way it's done, because like we said, the scenario that the world's in at the minute means that we've got to change how these messages are being delivered, and it is all last minute, which is probably why Sony haven't said anything much. But temper expectations going forward. We'll still get all the information, it's just going to be in dribs and drabs rather than all at once.
That's another good point. Sony aren't saying anything, so when Xbox is, it just gets people looking at them even harder, because they're the only one at the moment that's kind of really saying anything. So they're bringing all eyes on them, so they have to be careful. That's a good point. So let's see what happens. Sony's probably going to be like, all right, we'll take some notes from that as well. We don't want that, because when we start talking about stuff, the last thing we need is people going, it's not what I expected.
Especially when they're off the back of what was already a poor event that shouldn't have been an event. So if they did that with games and were like, yeah, here's a reveal of this, and it wound up being a reveal of not very much, that'd be 2 for 2 marketing PR nightmares, which I'm pretty sure they don't want.
Well, this kind of brings in a question I had later, but so do you think this just indicates, with this Summer Game Fest that's happening over the next, say, 4 months, that all the big publishers like your Ubisofts, like your EAs that was there today, everyone is just kind of gearing up to be like, we're just going to do our own thing, and they're not necessarily they might, like they did with Valhalla, they might show up at an Xbox thing, or I don't know, you might get Call of Duty show up at the PlayStation thing, but they're all going to be like, no, we're just going to have our own day to ourselves and show off our games, so we can have all the media talking about us all day, rather than share the spotlight with a bunch of other people at a PlayStation conference or something. Because that's what that showed me today, that Cyberpunk was not there, and which they could have been, especially with the new console.
I think this Xbox One was just to show new things. I hadn't heard of any of that. And to have the games has been a discrepancy for people with Xbox, right? So for them to come out with another one of stuff we've seen before, they would have got that chatter as well. Oh, it shows new stuff. Xbox has no games, but this time they're showing everything, not everything, but everything's new on that one to me. I haven't seen any of them, so that was a win for me. I didn't have that feeling of Cyberpunk again, or I guess something else again. So that was good, but I don't think this whole, I don't know how this summer of gaming thing is going to happen, right? You got Jeff Keighley doing his own thing, and you've got IGN doing their bloody summer of gaming as well. How diluted is the messaging going to be? We've all been so used to having this one event, E3 and Gamescom and all that kind of shit to look forward to. I don't know if I want spread out over months. It's I don't want to hear the same stuff retreaded for 4 months. I just want, bam, here it is. This is what we're doing. Fucking enjoy. Here's the release date or the expected window. I don't want to. I don't like the idea. I don't want to be stuck in the same news cycle for 4 months. I'm not looking forward to it, to be honest. I like that Xbox. They're doing it kind of more, I guess, compacted. Yeah, it's over 3 months so far. We've got this one done. Next month, they haven't revealed exactly what it is for June. It might be hardware related and pricing. They haven't talked about any of that stuff yet as far as pricing goes. And then they'll give them a month's grace, and then they'll do their Xbox Game Studios presentation and have all their first party stuff on that one. That is the one that I'm really looking forward to the most. But as far as all the third party stuff, I don't think a lot of them could maybe get away with doing their own on a day. There's a lot of these smaller guys like Scorn and Bright Memory and Chorus and stuff like that. There's no way that they would get the same kind of traction doing their own. And stuff like this, gave them a bit of a limelight for a moment to show like, well, this is something new, and they don't get lost in everything else. But I know what you're saying, Dan, and I don't want, like, I'll just stop talking, but I don't want the whole 4 or 5 months presentation cycle. I just don't want it. I'm not looking forward to it.
Yeah, I don't know. I like that Keeley just basically created a overcomplicated Google Calendar and just said like, all right, Warner Brothers, you can, why don't you do it this week, and then and then we'll grab EA for 2 weeks after that, so you don't conflict with each other, and you can all get your time in the sun. I don't think it's a bad way to go, but we'll let me move on to the next question. Does smart delivery make more or less sense than it did before the presentation?
If you're not an idiot, it makes the same amount of sense because it's perfectly clear what it's been from day dot.
Yeah.
Correct.
Correct.
The only thing that confused the situation was because of EA with Madden. Because that's the only thing that's confusing people. Because EA, and this is kind of, leads into the next question, which is, are publishers going to use it? Because EA basically came out and said, listen, if you buy the game before December 31st, which the game comes out in August, if you buy the game before December 31st, you can upgrade it to the Xbox Series X, but you have to do it before March 31st. So that's not what smart delivery is. No. So that just shows that EA is doing their own little upgrade program, sort of what the PS3 to PS4 life was, where you paid $10 and it would let you upgrade the game to the next generation.
EA will monetize your mother if they could.
Yeah.
And but this is them doing what I said was going to happen last week. This is them being... EA have been proprietors of new generation tech since the PS2 into the PS3 and, the Xbox 360 era. If you played, I think back then it had been 2007, right? 2006. If you played FIFA 2006 on the original Xbox and you bought a version on the Xbox 360, it was a new engine, it was a new game, right? The turn from the 360 into the Xbox One, the same thing. It changed engine, it played different, it was a different game, it was a new game. They will do the same thing this generation. There will be new engine tech and it will be completely upgraded, and within 2 years, this generation of consoles will get legacy modes of FIFA. So if you look at it doing it that way, I get why they're doing it, because Madden, again, was the other franchise that ran on Ignite when this generation first started. So in doing that, they're kind of going, look, yeah, all right, if you buy it, then you get the new version, but it isn't just an up-res texture pack. It is a new game, and you're getting it for free. So I get what you say. I agree with you wholeheartedly. They will monetize anybody's dead relative if they could. But it makes some sense that they are setting a stipulation of, look, we're embracing smart delivery, but there's some caveats. That will be why. They haven't said it yet, but that will be why.
Yeah.
And no developers forced to be taken this route of doing smart delivery either. Like it's an option. They're not being forced to do it. I think it's more of the optics of it. Now that we know what it is, and if we see a developer, particularly a major one, that's like, nah, I don't want to do that, then you got people going, oh, why not? That's not consumer friendly. You just want more money. That whole argument. So you get other developers that are kind of like, all right, we don't want that. Let's just say we're going to do smart delivery. The
only ones that I can see maybe not doing it are Activision. I'd fully expect Activision to just be like, nah, buy it again.
Yep. For your PlayStation 5, buy Call of Duty again. The other one would be 2K, especially with NBA, what they do. We haven't heard anything from them in terms of...
But do you not think that they'd probably take the same, as I was just saying about FIFA and Madden, do you not think they'd take the same approach? Just to maybe help get more people into the new console generation?
Well, just like you were saying, I know, because I got it at the time when 2K14 came out. That was... No, 13. When so it came out in 2013. So 2K14 came out. The 2K14 on PlayStation 4 was in a totally new engine, and and 2K14 on the PlayStation 3 was in the old engine, and so they were actually two different games essentially.
Wow.
So they sold them as two different games, and I don't think you had an upgrade option for that at the time if you had bought it on the PS3. I don't. I think they'll sell. I haven't heard anything about them using like different engines or moving visual concepts who worked on the WWE 2K games. I don't know if there's been any talk about them using new engines or using their existing engines. So I don't know how that would work. But it's 2K and they have a shit ton of money and they can do whatever they want, really.
This whole smart delivery argument is going to be moot in a couple of years.
Yeah, exactly. And also, because PlayStation hasn't announced anything with PlayStation 5 in terms of what they're doing, you don't know whether you need to separate it or if they both just have the same thing. And it's like, well, yeah, these games are optimized. Otherwise, you can just, in terms of Xbox, you can just buy the game still on Xbox One and it will still work. It's just, it will just be the same game on both consoles.
Yep.
You have to think that irrespective of what Sony's plans were, their hands have now definitely been forced.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I need some kind of answer to it.
Yeah. I think they have until like the end of June to bring out their stuff.
Last of Us 2 is going to be a good example of this. It's a PS4 game that you know is going to get some kind of update for PS5, right? Just like the first one did.
Yeah, but the first one came out in June 2013, so before the consoles, and then it released a year later as a remastered version.
Yeah.
So they might, so that and Ghost of Tsushima. I'm not sure how Sony are going to work that out. If they're backwards compatible, they might just say the game can just be played and leave it at that. But I don't know if they're going to say the boost that they talked about at the little GDC talk, if that's what does it. Like it'll just do some artificial upgrading or whatever. But I don't know. We got a long way to go.
Yeah. Mark Cerny's face will pop out of your TV and give you nightmares for a year.
The other confusing thing I had here on the messaging was just what I call Schrodinger's exclusives, because there either are or aren't an exclusive at the same time.
Oh shit! Oh, it's so fucking apt. Oh my god! Well done.
So from what we know, the medium will be exclusive on the Series X, and they say that's coming out in holiday 2020, and I found that amazing. Which is why I just thought you'd see some gameplay from it, not just the trailer, but that's fine. A lot of these other games and you sent the screenshot to me, Chunt, where you said the Ascent has been announced as an Xbox exclusive with Xbox Series X optimization. So meaning it's coming to Xbox One as an exclusive, and then it's being optimized. But why wouldn't you message that? Like, why did IGN message it yesterday, like late in the day yesterday? Then
that's the question, isn't it?
At your conference.
Yeah. So I don't understand. That was my thoughts after the fact. I'm like, well, how much of this was exclusive? And then you hop on Twitter the next day or so, and everybody's asking the same questions, and then you keep hearing conflicting reports, and then the developers are coming out saying, yeah, it's exclusive for Series X, or it's exclusive for Xbox, or it's a timed exclusive. And you're like, well, why was that not in the presentation like it always has been? There's just so much wrong with the messaging that happened on that inside Xbox.
But they maybe thought that it was self-explanatory. It was an Xbox event on Xbox channels showing Xbox games, and Phil Spencer's whole thing of, not wanting to do the whole console exclusive and mention it and it be like a brownie earning point thing. I think one of those two things could explain their internal logic. It doesn't mean that it didn't land. It doesn't give them the excuse for that, but they could be potential, just playing devil's advocate. reasons that they didn't mention it.
I can see that.
And it is something that's solved by like one bit of text at just before the first trailer starts saying all the games you'll see today are exclusive on Xbox.
Yeah.
And that's enough. And then during the trailers, you see, coming to Games Pass, or you see smart delivery. You see that stuff explaining whether it's going to be optimized for the next console or not. It was just a weird misstep for him.
Like Yakuza Like a Dragon, that's coming to PlayStation, and it's just a launch window game for Series X. Just happened to get announced on that show, which I think is pretty good feather in the cap. That's some Japanese support with Scarlet Nexus as well. That Xbox just hasn't really, generally had until a couple of years ago with Final Fantasy and Kingdom Hearts and that kind of stuff. And now they're getting Yakuza love through Game Pass. So it's good. I mean, there are positives to come out of this, but there's just a lot of nitpicks that it's just obvious that a lot of people are having. I don't know, man. I'm just looking forward to the next one. Lesson learned.
Yeah, it's just unfortunate because they've been doing so much right, and I don't feel like they deserve to get shit on as much as they have.
No, it probably doesn't help that we're all stuck at home too. So anything is bigger than it normally would be, you know?
Or just news, because every entertainment industry is basically shut down, and gaming's the only one that can still give us something to talk about.
Yeah, like I know for me, like lately, like little things are becoming bigger things, like just because you don't have those usual distractions of going to work or going out and doing things. So like just little things that normally wouldn't bother you are like, oh fuck, so I can see that probably happening with this as well. Like everybody's just so excited and wanting the new stuff and a bit of hope or something to look forward to get excited and hyped for. And then when it doesn't kind of meet that level, I don't know if it's just harder to reach that at the moment because of everything going on. But I don't know, man. I'm still excited. Like I came away from it going, fuck yeah, look, there's 13 or so new games I had no idea about besides Assassin's Creed. Still plenty of stuff to look forward to, surprises and all that. Plenty to take away.
Well, that rounds up my questions. You guys got any last thoughts? Anything you wanted to bring up?
About the presentation?
Yeah.
For maybe not too. I don't want to be dismissive, but probably not too much developer talk. Or I like watching interviews, but when you're trying to showcase a game or announce a new game or show off a new game, I'm not too enthusiastic about spending 5 minutes talking to a person about the vision of the game. Like, just show me what it is. Well, that would be my only critique going forward. It's like, if you have a massive game that you're proud to stand behind, then show us. Don't talk to us about it.
Let the game do the talking. 100%.
Yeah.
Well, there's two ways to do that. You either, in terms of the flow of the thing, show off a few games, and then when you do have someone to talk about it, do like 3-4 trailers in a row, so it's fast paced, and then as with a big trailer and then the talk about it, and then continue on with more games and just break them up that way. Or you show the gameplay, and then that kind of shows off everything.
Or talk over it. Like if you're showing the visuals of the game,
that too.
If you want to talk about it, then just overlay the video on top of the audio. There's plenty of ways we can go around it, but I think this is like a real time constraint problem with this one. It just feels a little thrown together. Understandable considering, but going forward, they kind of really need to just not do that. They got a whole month to prep for this next one, so looking forward to it.
Jamie, any other thoughts?
No, Chunt pretty much summarized that perfectly. I agree. I don't need to see a developer talk for 10 minutes. Show me the game. Let me see what they've got happening, and they will learn from it. So I think that's evident. We're in weird fucking times. Let's be honest.
Very.
Who knows what to expect?
All right. Well, we'll cut this one off here. It's a little bit shorter than last week, boys.
It's probably
a whole
probably
hour
a good thing.
shorter than last week.
That's all right.
Thanks for everybody watching. Make sure you come and see us on Mixer at Let's Talk Games, on Twitter at LT Gamescast, Jamie at Jamie Nero. It's Nero, isn't it?
Hmm?
I've never actually said it out loud. I've just always read it.
Jamie Nero. Yeah.
Well, your eyes did not deceive you. Your lips did you service.
I'll bet they do.
Chunt at Uncle Chunt and myself at Clemo_24. Thanks for joining me, boys, and we'll be back again next week.
Right on. Toodaloo.
Ciao.